you left your abstract mysteriously empty. So, but from what I can gather from your bio and the title, you're going to talk to us about the semantics of failure and success. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah, and the bio was the abstract was a bit vague because I only submitted the bio. Jamie asked if I wanted to do a talk. And I was like, yes, I have some failure stories, but they are part failure. And I think seeing Jamie's talk this morning, it's about resilience, it's about recovering from failure. So, but
Awesome.
this is in the small. This is not as a CEO. This is as an individual contributor. All
Great.
right.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Let's get
as soon as
going.
you're ready. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I'm holding my, it's staying. Yes, I didn't test my headset with the hat on. So I wanted to be a wizard, but I'm actually just a magician. I'm a wizard in training. But I will show you what's in my head. It's a defense against Fluffy, the conference bunny. It's my own bunny. It will defend me. So a small expensive step towards a cloud native product. It was a dark October day. Willem was navigating the hallways of a half-empty office. A lot of the people he knew had left. What had happened? Let's find out. Willem works as a full circle developer. I do backends, front ends, but most of all I care about delivering value to my clients and having fun if possible. But this is all scary stuff, much like Halloween. So when I said I wanted to be a wizard, Freek Leemhuis on Twitter suggested the structure and interpretation of computer programs. But for me, it's like, yes, it's a structure and interpretation of client contexts. So maybe one day I will be a wizard. For now, I'm just a magician. I'm trying to find out, where have I landed this time? Let me take you on a little trip. So this is a product I worked on a couple of years ago. Um, like other tales, these don't get told much because the people who work in these companies don't tend to go to conferences at all. So what this product does is, if I want to send a message, it checks whether I don't accidentally tell any secrets the company doesn't want to divulge. So if it's okay, the message goes through to someone else. And if there's fire in my message, it will go into the trash and maybe someone will be notified and I'll get a telling off. So that's all well and good. And this product existed for at least 20 years. You can see the house on the right, it has some bricks and there's fire or not. And there's a web interface on top of it. With this web interface, you can configure this message filtering service and a lot of other things. And now customers are moving to the cloud. We're going from right to left because it's a bit bad. Bad things move from right to left. So in the cloud, we want to have the same thing. And the reasons the hallways were a bit empty is that my colleagues had tried this twice. And the previous attempt, they spent a lot of time and people's time on it. And it didn't quite come together. So instead, people moved on to other companies and a startup got acquired that was doing this thing in the cloud. So now our task was to keep the message filtering service as it is, because these services have lots of rules that people write to filter messages, which is different from one client to the next. And we want to run the filtering service in the cloud so people could keep their same filters integrated with a new service. So that sounds simple enough. And what was I doing here? That's a good question. Well, I was working in a department that was partially working on the old service and partially on the new. And Y hours to the right of me, there were people working on the existing on-prem product, and X hours to the left of me were a bunch of people working on the new product. And the cloud is made of people. So my task was to write some end-to-end tests so that we can be confident that it works together. As one of the other presenters said, if you don't have any tests, well, you might just as well not have any software. So they had in the past, as I found out when I was almost finished, built a product, but they didn't have any end-to-end tests. And normally you do other things and you might not miss them. But in this case, that seemed to have been a big problem. So you can see an end-to-end test as a sort of a tracer bullet. You can fire a bullet in the sky and it gives light, and then you can see where it goes. And then hopefully it will arrive at the other end or get filtered. That sounds simple enough, but these things have many, many moving parts. So what technology do you choose then? You choose technology that other people find useful. There's a nice blog post that's been going around, choose boring technology. I don't think that choosing technology that other people find useful is boring. I have my own preferences. I like things like Haskell and Clojure and stuff like that. But in this case, we used Python robot framework, which is a way to write tests in a more textual description. So you can sit together with someone and write tests together, someone who doesn't consider themselves to be technical. And I say doesn't consider themselves to be technical because whenever I encounter someone who says, oh, I'm not technical, you find out that they're operating the company's domain name servers or something like that. And they are technical, they're just not technical in everything. And in the middle, there is Selenium. Selenium is a way to do browser tests, to drive a web browser and execute its UI. It's not what we prefer because me and my client, we like our APIs. But just in case that we couldn't find APIs that we could use, we had Selenium. And I have Docker in gray because, well, that's cloud, but we didn't really want to use Docker. We just used a bit of Docker because we wanted to share our tests with the people who would come after me, people working on the new cloud product. So they used Python, they used Robot Framework and kindly handed me a starter test. So that was nice. But it was taking me a long time to get anything off the ground. I had, before getting onto this project, my agent had asked me, so Willem, do you know this robot framework thing? Well, no. Well, maybe you should practice a little bit. So I practiced. I have a little product that I made on the side. So I practiced. I wrote for robot framework and Selenium tests, and I was like, yeah, this is all right. That took me a couple of days. For this product, it took me 4 months to get the same amount of tests. Sorry, 2 months to get the same amount of tests. And why was that? Well, I was looking for APIs, but couldn't easily find them. So yes, let's go back to the product slide. So this is the product. Messages go or they don't. This is the house. This is me in a little cloud, bunch of other people in clouds, and other people in clouds. This is the trace. Well, this only has a stop sign for Haskell. And this is me taking a long time. Because like in an online talk, this is my first talk this year. Maybe the only one. So it's taking a long time. So I was looking around for APIs together with my manager, who was great. So he would make sure that I could get work done. I would ask him a question, he'd go asking around, trying to figure things out. So especially on the existing product, there were APIs, and I would ask, and people said, well, are you really sure you want to use this API? So eventually I managed to use some, and then we gave up. And we used Selenium for part of the tests. Luckily, the cloud product did have an API, and only after a month I thought about asking for documentation. There was a Swagger documentation that was great, and it helped me out a lot. And of course, I was waiting for people to do things. So that, well, what do you do in the meantime? You help your colleagues around with other stuff, reviewing pedal to the metal C++ code, or go on Perl monks to figure out obscure lines to use for someone else writing tests. So mistakes were made. I was the one to generate a large AWS bill when trying to get some Snowflake server into the cloud. It was running Windows, no less. I made someone's service disappear. Luckily, it wasn't a production one. But what's great about this this company, even after they've tried and failed a few times, they were very good at having forgiving things. So it's like, yes, oh, Willem, you deleted the service. That's not very good. Can you fix this? Yeah, sure, I'll get right on it. The AWS bill, sort of the same thing. I did need some help for that because I found out that cloud formation stacks are easily run, but they're not as easily reversed necessarily. So eventually, the whole thing finished ahead of schedule. The whole integration was not just me writing tests, there were other people porting the filtering service to the cloud. And they could only use specific AWS instances, so it could go as fast as possible, stuff like that. And you'd think there would be a massive celebration, much like some videos on Twitter recently of Microsoft celebrating a Windows release, but no, there was silence. Everyone was surprised that we made it. And I hadn't realized it, but we had been pushing. We hadn't been working nights, but we've been very, very focused on getting this thing to ship. And I'm still not entirely sure why we made it. My client believed that having some end-to-end tests was key because previous attempts had not been reproducible when they tried to put everything together. But I don't believe in single causes. So I think what does work in this environment is that people are really focused on working together, but not all groups as closely. So some misaligned incentives, perhaps, and maybe some inertia. If you have a startup, you can choose all the fresh technology that you want. And if you do this in an existing environment, you may do some new stuff, use some old stuff, and maybe it isn't as fit for purpose as you believe it would be. So summing up, you can't always ship what you want. I would like to use all my shiny programming tools, but if you try sometimes, you ship what they need. So set aside your go-to tools and pull together. And I'm using Go because Adam Sender mentioned quite a few people in this context like Go, much like I like MySQL. So yeah, if you have to use Python or even Perl in this case, just do it and ship. It's fun. So we did have some fun afterwards, but it took a few weeks for everyone to catch their breath and say, yeah, we did it. So thank you. My name is Willem. I'm a full circle developer. I participate in evolving products, learning together. You can find me on Twitter @mostalive or Willem @quan.eu if you want to send email. I'll post some references in the Slack. And now I don't see or hear anything else. I think I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see the host again.
Yes, I'm back. Hi, Willem. Thanks for sharing your slides with us because they're amazing. And it would have been such a pity if we didn't see them.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was so focused about starting, I totally forgot to share my slides.
Do not worry. Please share them also later on social media so we can see them in their full glory.
Yes, I will do that.
Fantastic.
Where's the stop share button? Yes, there it is.
Awesome.
Yes, are there? Oh, we don't have any time for questions, I guess.
So yeah, Carl is just saying that he loves the reference ship what you need. Yeah, we unfortunately do not really have time for questions, but will you be on Umbrella or Slack to answer some questions later, maybe?
Yes, I will be. I will be on Slack in between dinner and sports. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so if you have more questions for Willem, put them into Slack and he'll get to it then. So for now, we're gonna have like more of a networking session, networking time, or you can catch up with the talks that you might have missed. We'll see each other again at 7 with the keynote. And until then, I want to thank our sponsors, Container Solutions, Equinix Metal, Cycloid, Giant Swarm, Instana, and Kinvolk. Thanks and see you in a bit.